Hello out there, and I've got a couple aftermarket Benchmade thumb studs that I'd like to share with you guys today, and they are on this 556 Mini Griptilian and also this 707 sequel. And they come from XXX Adrenaline XXX, and you can find those guys on Instagram, find them on eBay. Here's the information if you are interested. They are based out of Australia. The prices that they have, I'm not going to say they're high, but I mean $30 for a thumb stud can be a little bit expensive, but the thing that they have going for them that just not other people have is that they have options that you can't find from a lot of other dealers. So I mean, I wanted some colored thumb studs from Benchmade, and I really couldn't find them from some of the aftermarket hardware people that I've dealt with who are from the States. So yeah, I had to pay the premium, and it was worth it in these two cases. And I'm going to sort of go through as to why, at least I think so. Because honestly, guys, for the most part, I don't really do all that much in terms of custom anything that, with knives. I think money's gotten a little bit tighter, and so I'm sort of more focused on just getting as many new knives as I still can. And, every now and then I'll have a pair of aftermarket scales, or I'll try to do some kind of swap or get some secondary hardware, sure. But with these two knives, I got a thumb stud, not really for the flare aspect or because I thought it needed it. And if you look at, where is that Benchmade Super Freak? So the Benchmade Super Freak is one that I know a lot of people got this red thumb stud for, because when you look at the accents and everything, it just looks like it should have a red thumb stud as like the stock decision. And that made a lot of sense when I saw people doing that. For me, as you can tell, didn't really matter. Not really needing to spend $30 to do that. But with these two knives are sort of restoration modded knives. And my struggle when I looked at both of them, and I'm going to take you through like the story of both of these knives. My struggle looking at them was they just looked like they were beat the hell up. And I needed something, some kind of pop to show that, no, this is exactly the way I want the knife to look. And so the first one I did it with was this mini grip, this 556. This is a Cabela's exclusive, and the scales were originally tan. And, I'd wanted this one for a long time, and I got it pretty dirt cheap on eBay because it was really beat up. You can see the wear on the blade, and I actually accentuated that myself in order to try to make it look even more worn down than it already was. But it was beat up, and you can see, just even though I've tried to bring the scales back to life, there's a lot of just issues with them. And I dyed them, and I've done a lot of stuff to it. And I've like force worn some of the hardware in order to get it to match the blade. And at the end of the day, I looked at it and it just still looked like it was just a beat up knife. And I mean, that's fine. I have no issue with a knife looking worn that is worn. But I was trying to bring it back and make it look like a cohesive kind of piece again. And it was just missing that one thing that showed that everything that it was presenting was intentional, if that makes sense. So the red, I think, gave it a little bit of a pop, and also gave it the Kylo Ren name, which sort of works because of the way that the blade looks. And yeah, I think that it really brought the whole thing together. Now, does this matter in terms of cutting performance? Absolutely not. Really doesn't matter at all. It doesn't add any functional kind of aspect to the knife at all. And honestly, if we're looking at the thumb studs, they are identical to the actual Benchmade thumb studs. So, I mean, it's a Benchmade stud. So there's no improvement or difference in the way that the knife actually performs. It just sort of comes together more in a collection kind of sense. And I appreciate that. And so in a couple unusual, like more infrequent circumstances like this, it's worth it for me to spend like $30 in order to do that, when my total investment on the knife already was very low. This one, the 707, which is the most recent one, I just put this thumb stud on the knife a few minutes ago. This one was another one that I got on eBay dirt cheap because it was beat up. It was used, it was beat up. I had it a few years ago. The finish, the powder coating on the flat side of the scales was intact, but right here, it was super beat up, and the powder coating had been, it looked like it had been started to get stripped off, right? And so it just was weird. I wasn't able to find any aftermarket scales for it. And so I just sat on this knife for a long time, never did anything. And my buddy George he wanted to get a 707 back in his collection. So I just sent him this one. And he held on to it and did some mods. He did some beautiful, beautiful acid etching and stonewashing on this blade. I mean, that's his work and it is fantastic. And he also took the rest of the coating off, as you can see. And I mean, it's not, it's a little bit scratched to the aluminum now and it's not the most even finish, but it sure looks a lot better than it did. And he just wasn't doing anything with it. And so he sent it back to me. And I looked at it and I thought, man, this just looks like it could be a complete piece. It just is missing that one thing. It made me think of this and said, all right, well, we're going to do the same thing. And yeah, I think that green thumb stud really brings it together. And I could do something else. I think I might end up stonewashing completely, like the scale here, and having what amounts to a more finished looking product. But I think, at least in my opinion, the thumb studs can be indicators that, hey, what we have here is, the knife as I want it to look. And yeah, I think that really works in these cases. And that's the reason, why I went this route. So yeah, I didn't get these for free either. So if you're wondering that, no, I bought these with my own money. Took a while to get here from the other side of the world, but really not that long. So it's definitely worth it. And I really like what they do and what they bring to the knife and to the way I feel about the knife. And that's the most important thing. Now, if you're thinking about thumb studs and different colored thumb studs, there is another route to go nowadays, because they do have the Benchmade Bug Out custom shop where you can get different color thumb studs and hardware for your knife. So, and if you're not aware, the Benchmade, like smaller knives, a lot of them use the exact same thumb stud. So the 707 uses the same one as the 556, uses the same one as the 535, uses the same one actually as the Super Freak. So, I mean, it's a lot of the same thumb stud across the board. Is this the exact same one? Yeah, I mean, it pretty much is. So all that stuff is interchangeable. And so what you could do is you could just buy a custom bug out with a colored thumb stud that you want to put on a different knife and swap those out, blah, 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 or just get a custom bug out, sell the bug out. You could do a number of things in order to like get the thumb stud that you want, and maybe not have to be out $30 for it. But I think that buying them the way that I did, it's a good route to go if you just want to like pimp your knife out and get it looking a little bit different from what everybody else has. But again, even if that's not the way you're looking at things, in my case, it worked out really well for me. So let me know what you think, guys. How do you feel about aftermarket scales, aftermarket hardware? Is it worth the money? What do you think in these situations? Like, do you think it actually adds what I think it adds, or do you just think I'm crazy here? Any questions, comments, complaints, suggestions? Let me know all your thoughts, all right? Thanks very much for watching. Take care and have a good one.